Good morning. We're about 10 minutes out. Our last check before Coach gets up here. Lectern microphone check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lectern microphone check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lectern microphone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Q&A microphone. This is the first Q&A microphone. Q&A microphone 1. Q&A microphone 1. Q&A microphone 2. Q&A microphone 2. We're going to start this in a few moments.
Folks, thanks for joining us. We'll go right here in the front.
Nate LaRisha, Mountain Union. Congratulations, Coach.
Hey,
again,
thank you.
Make it back to the Super Bowl. Throughout the week, you talked about adversity. And during your playing days for the Purple Raiders as a wide receiver, you suffered a severe leg injury, which could have been life-altering. However, you came back to help lead Mountain Union to its third straight national championship. How do you use that, overcoming the adversity? You know, how did that mold you into the person you are today, and how did that create you into the NFL coach you are now?
Yeah, again, embracing adversity is huge, right? And for life, for football, and that, as bad as that injury was and all the stuff I kind of went through with that injury, I can kind of, I see it now of why I had to go through that. It really, a lot of people were there for me at that time, my parents, Coach Karras, my teammates. But now I'm able to use that story that I went through to kind of help players that we have that are going through injuries and share that story, because there's no doubt in my mind it taught me how to endure. It taught me how to, be told I couldn't do something and stand up and like I wasn't supposed to play football again, and figure out a way to, with the help of the trainers and the doctors and again my teammates. So it's really helped me be able to have a story to connect with the guys as far as when they're going through hard times. I think one of the biggest, connecting and being a team, there's so many opportunities to do that in the season, but the time where that the team needs you the most and the players need each other the most are in times of adversity. So looking back on it, as hard as it was for me to go through that at the time, it's really helped shape me who I am and, help connect with these guys.
front row right, Zach Berman.
Hey, good morning, Nick. On the night before the game 2 years ago, you changed your plan and opened the floor to the team to speak. Is that the plan again? And that meeting, what do you remember from that night?
We'll see how that goes. We're still talking through that, but that was kind of actually a tradition at Mount Union that we did, and probably we'll see how that is. But just what you got to see is just how much the guys cared about each other. It was the whole conversation was just, when guys would get up there just talking about how much they mean to each other, how they're going to play for each other, all those different things. And again, it's not the best groups of individuals that wins; it's the best teams. And so it was a good moment for our team, and we'll see how that plays out. But remember a lot of things from that, a lot of different guys talking, and that meant it meant a lot, and we'll probably try to recreate that.
Left side, front row.
Hi, Coach, right here.
Hi.
2 years ago, a clip of you went viral from you crying during the national anthem. Can you just talk about your emotion during that moment, and do you anticipate being that emotional again on Sunday?
You never know. It's hard to plan or say, hey, this is going to happen or that's going to happen. First, it was a really good rendition of the national anthem. And I think really why the emotions were there were kind of twofold, as far as just being grateful to be in that moment, and then just to think about and just the thanking God in that moment, and the gratitude that I had in that moment, and then also all the work that it took to get to that moment, the injuries, the coming from a player to a coach, and all that, and thinking back on, when we were all, at some point, all of us that are going to be on that field had thought about playing in that game. Or, I think as little kids, you think about playing the game. I don't think you ever think about coaching in the game. But I grew up with my dad as a coach, so maybe I did a little bit, but it was more about playing in the game and just being in that moment of something that you thought about your entire life and fantasized about your entire life, for that to become true. It's a grateful moment.
Center aisle, second row, gentlemen.
Coach, you got a good chunk of guys on this team who are Georgia Bulldogs. They've been very key and vital to this defense, most specifically Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Nakobe, and Nolan. Can you just talk about, those group of guys from Georgia and what they mean to this team in defense?
Yeah, Keely's done a lot of good things too, and has really been huge for our special teams. Obviously their talent speaks for themselves, but they also have this, they've been playing together for multiple years, the couple years that they've been here together, and then all the years that they had on those great defenses and teams that they had in Georgia under Coach Smart. So you have this connection and of on and off the field that's huge. Like, there is a when we drafted Nolan Smith, I remember how excited he was, and one of the first people that he embraced with was Nakobe, who was at his draft day party. So that's so cool, because these guys, again, when you have a relationship with the guys, and the guys have a relationship with each other, they'll go a little bit harder because they got a little bit more on the line, and because they don't want to let each other down. And I think that's a big part of it. And some of those friendships that we have on this team are developed, through the year or through the couple years that they've been playing here, but their bond goes back. And I think that's important, and I think that's a huge deal. And, they can fly around and make plays. They're tough. Coach Smart and his staff have done such a good job of getting good players there and developing them, and then we just try to continue to do the same thing. And so love those guys, a big part of why we're here today.
Far left, Jeff McClain.
Nick, a two-parter. You're one of the more aggressive coaches in the NFL in terms of fourth downs, plus 50 on two-point conversions. Does the Super Bowl and going up against an offense and Patrick Mahomes call for more aggressiveness? And in terms of OT decision-making, does anything from last year influence how you're going to approach that?
As far as your second part of the question, overtime, I mean, we've thought about that, going back to last year. You get ready for that. And so, you think about what you're going to do in those scenarios. Obviously, I won't sit here and say, here's what we'll do in an overtime scenario. But we've been thinking about that since the new rule has come up. And we have our plans and our thoughts for that. As far as the other option, every game's a little bit different. There's different factors that go into how you play the game. The flow of the game plays into it. There's so many things that play into it as far as your decision making in game. And so everything will be accounted for, just like as far as the overtime, and just like we do each and every week. Everything's accounted for. Who you're playing against, who you're playing against offensively, who you're playing against defensively. The plays that you have, the players that you have. The analytic charts, all those different things play into it. And we'll see how the game unfolds.
All right, right side, outside, Brooks.
Nick, I want to ask you about what you've learned about offensive staff transitions. You've done it a couple of different ways, an internal promotion and then an external one. In terms of reaching for success in a system, does it require an external voice as you build, or what have you learned about those two transitions in terms of how you operate?
Yeah, every situation's different. You kind of think about the first one too, like, Brian was internal, Kellen was external, but still had a relationship with him and knew him from other things. Shane was internal, if you want to go back to that, right? Even though we weren't together prior to it, was coming in together. So every situation's a little bit different. You try to learn from every experience that you have. And yeah, we're not really thinking about anything like that right now. We're thinking and focused about winning this football game. And that's all our thought and focus is on right at this particular moment.
All right, left side, third row, far left.
What are your recollections of your very first conversations as a staff on the push play and the way you were going to approach the quarterback sneak? Who sort of threw it out there? Was it based on any particular thing? And the first reaction, was it, we know we're really onto something here, or is it more skeptical, like, let's just see how this goes?
Before I got here to Philadelphia, and I was with Coach Wright in Indianapolis, Jacoby Brissett was really good at the push play, or at the quarterback sneak, was really good at it. And, the reason we tapped into that with Jacoby was because all the success that Frank had here with Carson Wentz, because they were really successful at it prior, in the 17, 18, 19 season with Carson of the quarterback sneak. And then, fast forward to when we're here, if you look back in 2021, as we watch some of our tape from 2021, as we study our Chiefs game from 2021, there's third down situations where it looks a little odd because we're not in that formation or in the push play or in the quarterback sneak. And it's just something that develops over time, and you start adding layers to it. You start adding complements to it where the defense has to make sure that they're playing it honest. And so it's just something that's developed over time, but it dates back to, again, 17, 18. Coach Stout is so good at teaching that, and we have some really, again, you don't run the play either unless you have the guys to run the play. I think someone told me that it's always a topic of conversation. Should this play be banned or anything like that? But there's not the success that we have is not replicated always throughout the entire league. We saw it last week with the game plan we were studying against that Kansas City did it against Buffalo and stopped them in a critical situation. And so I guess I'm lobbying to never change that rule because we're successful at it, but we're successful at it because of the guys that we have up front. And then it keeps layering as you get better and better and as you get more experience with it. And so truly a group effort of how we've continued to develop at this play and have the success that we have at this play. But, Cam Jurgens, Landon Dickerson, Jordan Mailata, Mackay, Lane, Jalen, they got a lot of. That's why it's being successful at the end of the day. We're successful at it because those guys know how to do it and make it work.
Aisle, right side, third row.
Coach, thinking about Saquon, Zach, Cooper, and Quinyon, they're all 4 first-year Eagles. They're all nominated for some big awards. They've been making a big impact for you guys this year. How are you balancing that talent with the fact that this is a first Super Bowl for all 4 of them?
Yeah, I think someone asked me this question early on in the playoffs, like, hey, you guys are a young football team. You guys are a really young football team, and they don't have big game experience. Well, you tell Cooper DeJean that the Iowa State game's not, maybe to the outside world, Iowa State's not as important as the Super Bowl, but in that moment for Cooper, it is, right? And when Iowa's playing Michigan or when Iowa's playing Ohio State, all those different things. And so it's all relative of what maybe the outside looks at it and what the player feels in his heart at that particular moment. It's the same thing, for Zach Bond, Wisconsin versus Iowa. Who else did you mention there? Quinyon with Toledo versus who's Toledo's rival? They who Kent State, Akron, any of those teams. And so with these guys have big game experience. They're not rookies anymore. And with Cooper and Q, they've played 20. What game are we on? 27. So they've played so many games and have so many big game experiences that doesn't. Again, it may be good from the I don't want to say a good story from the outside, but it may be something that on the outside it looks one way, but I know how much these guys put in and empty the tank every time they go out and play, and every week they prepare.
Left side, second row, gray shirt.
Coach, you mentioned yesterday you've had the opportunity to work with so many great quarterbacks throughout your coaching career. What makes Jalen stand out in that group of great quarterbacks?
Yeah, just all that he can do. Man, he's a great passer and reads the defense great, and then he has this ability that when something breaks down to make big plays happen that way as well. And he just knows how to win. His work ethic, all the different things. There's so many different things there. He's won so many different places that he's been, and won big. But I'd say that again, the ability to be a great passer and great reading of the defense, and then also his ability to create and extend.
All right, right side, third row.
Cam Melendez, Jamestown. Being from Jamestown, what does it mean?
I can't see it. Where is he? Okay, there you are.
Being from Jamestown.
You're from Jamestown?
Yes, sir.
My man.
Being from Jamestown, what does it mean for you to represent the city on this big of a stage?
Yeah, I think just being able to come from a town in Western New York and grow up and be in this position, hopefully that gives hope to people in Jamestown that they can accomplish their goals. And I would say that you accomplish your goals by working your butt off. You can't have an off day, and then embracing adversity because you're going to go ups and downs through it. So, just obviously proud of where I came from and the family that I grew up in. And Jamestown, helped develop me to the person I am today as well.
All right, we've got Elliot over here on the far right.
Kevin Patullo is a guy that we don't hear from often or really isn't talked about a lot because he doesn't have a coordinator title. But how important has he been to your success this year? Can you just talk about the relationship you two have, having been together for so long?
Yeah, very important to the success that we've had. He wears a lot of different hats. Helps me a lot with different things, with head coaching things. I can't tell you that I make a decision without saying to Kevin first, what do you think? That's in everything. That's in game. That's out of game. That's with scheduling. That's with offensive stuff. That's with game management stuff. And lean on him a lot. And then him and Kellen. I mean, they're together at all times. Talking through the offensive stuff, and he's kind of that same sounding board for Kellen on the offensive side. And this is what, how many years? 8 years with Kevin. That continuity is really important because he knows what I'm thinking in certain situations, how you want things to be taught, all those different things. So he's just been a great resource, for me the entire time, our success this year, but really our success that we've had since we've been here. Can't be great without the greatness of others, and that completely is definitely a fact with Kevin Patullo, and I trust him with everything. Got a ton of trust and faith with him. He's awesome.
front row, far right.
Hey, Coach. You talked a little bit about overtime. It seems like the Chiefs find a way to always win games late in the fourth quarter. What are you doing to prepare your team? What's the message you're saying to the team if the situation comes where it's a late game?
Yeah, we prepare for all those things. To say that you get to this point and say, all right, now here's how we're going to win a close game. It doesn't work that way. You go through that the entire year. You don't cram. Well, I used to cram at Mount Union for tests and stuff like that, but you don't cram for these scenarios, right? It's your habits. It's your daily habits of the situational football that you go through. The 2-minute, the 4-minute, all those different things that you go through the entire year. And you continue to work them this week to get a little bit better at them. And if you continue to stack things to get a little bit better at, you give yourself a chance to be successful in those scenarios. But again, it's about detail. One of my favorite quotes that I have in my office is "Victory favors the team making the fewest mistakes," which is an old Bobby Knight had it in his office, and that's how we think. We think about that with our situational football. We think about that with our fundamentals, and that's something that we've been preparing for from OTAs to training camp to the regular season to postseason to, we were working on that stuff yesterday. So, obviously they're really good at that. They're, when you watch their tape, got a lot of respect for their coaches because you can see how detailed they are. The Chiefs are in all those areas as well. And we pride ourselves in that too, so, it'll be a good battle.
We've got time for a couple more. Back right.
Coach, right over here. A.J. Brown had a big game in the last Super Bowl 2 years ago and seemed to reestablish himself in the NFC Championship game. Looks healthy. With all the attention on Saquon, how important can A.J. be on Sunday? Yeah,
obviously A.J. is a phenomenal player. And, you say reestablish himself. I mean, he missed 3 games and he still had almost 1,100 yards. 3 or 4 games and was out in the second half quite a bit this year. So it was just the way we kind of have won this year and stuff like that. But he's still the same dominant player that had 1,400 plus yards the last couple years and just had a couple less yards for different circumstances this year. And you saw that in the NFC Championship game. And so, again, we don't really care how we win. We just want to win. And so if that means throwing it 50 times and running it once, well, A.J. and Devontae and Dallas, that's going to be good. And if it's vice versa, those guys are so selfless, which I love about this football team. They're so selfless, they're going to catch a big-time block that's going to help change the game. And so, we'll see how the game plays out. You can't really tell that until you get into the game and see the flow of the game. But, I got a lot of faith in him that, of what he can do. And Jalen delivering the ball to him, got a ton of faith in that operation. So 2 of the best players right there in the world with Jalen and with A.J. So we got good options there.
We got time for 2 more. Right side, out on the side.
Hey, Coach. Jim Alexander with Real Talker. You faced scrutiny in your opening presser when you were introduced as the Eagles coach. Recently, we saw Liam Cohen with the Duval thing. What was your reaction to it, and how do you feel about coaches kind of getting viral and getting scrutinized for sort of these opening pressers?
At the end of the day, we'll be scrutinized for wins and losses. I know that. And so really that to me is, whatever, but yeah, it's we don't train to do media. We get work at it, and now that I've 4 years into the job, I've gotten more work at it, and over and over and over again, we train to be football coaches. We train to be football players, and that's if I'm training when I'm the offensive coordinator to get ready for opening press conferences, I would have been shorting the Indianapolis Colts. My whole mindset was, how do I get better at coaching and helping these guys develop and reach the goals that they want to reach? And so, yeah, I think too much has played into that. I wasn't good. I've said it to the guys, when I first said it, my first press conference sucked. I wasn't getting ready for that. I was trying to get ready to see, to help this team win, to get to know my players. And, fortunately for me, you don't get a win and loss based off your opening press conference. Now, do people still talk about it? Like, oh my God, his opening press conferences was terrible. Yeah, I think I'm doing better now. You guys would agree, right? I'm doing a little bit better now. I'm waiting for when they're going to drop that narrative, but whatever. It is what it is, and again, our focus is football. Thanks, guys.
All right, last question, front row here.
Coach, we ask players all the time what their pregame ritual is. We want to know, do you have anything that you do in particular or any superstitions that you live by?
My superstition, which somebody told me the other day is actually a superstition, is to be opposite of superstitious. So if I put my left shoe on, then right shoe on, then I'm going to switch it the next time. I don't believe in that. And I just, you make your breaks from the way you prepare and the habits that you have. There's some things I don't eat before games, so that's not eating might be one, but I just, get nerves sometimes. And then, I don't have any routines like that. I mean, I'll go through like game management stuff before the game and stuff that's part of my habits to get ready for the game, but not anything like, hey, I got to wear this shirt or these socks or whatever it is. I did that as a player, and and I tried to start doing it as a coach. I had so many other things to worry about that I didn't want one more thing to do that. So I'm not superstitious, which I know I'm kind of in the minority there as far as that goes, as far as this profession, because I know all our coaches like, you didn't sit there last time, and I'm like, I'm not sitting there this time and I'm moving. So my superstition is to change what I'm doing all the time so I don't fall into that.
All right, folks, thank you. We've got Jalen Hurts heading up to the podium right now.
How we doing?
Hi, Jalen Meyer Gomez. First of all, congratulations for being here again. And this is kind of an off question, but being that you have, and I know you've been asked about this before, but just the empowerment of women through your marketing team, your staff, your agents, and now all of the opportunities that women have, just around the country when it comes to sports. How important is it for you to continue to support women?
Well, it's something that happened very organically, and really was just seeking out for the best, and that's how it happened. And I have a lot of confidence in my team and everyone that supports me. Everyone pushed their best foot forward. They do a great job of being intentional, and honestly, for me, it's an eye that I don't have that I'm able to lean on in certain situations, and so that's something I value heavily.
Hi, Jalen. Let's sit over here. So when you were asked about the Kendrick and Drake beef, you said you have an old soul and you like Frankie Beverly. So I was curious, what kind of other music do you listen to during pregame? Yeah, how does that old soul kind of come out in other parts of your personality?
Yeah, I think music is a great way of expression, and I think just specifically to Frankie Beverly, I've always had a special connection with him, been able to meet him before I came to the NFL, and him passing this year and getting close with his family. But I always have a special space in my heart for sure.
Hi. Good morning, Jalen. What would be your main motivation by winning this Super Bowl? I've noticed that you guys have less penalties than the 2022.
Mm-hmm.
You have a more disciplined team. Do you think this team is better than 2 years ago? What did you learn about that loss in the Super Bowl?
Well, yeah, I've always said that every team is different, and I think personally and individually for all the guys on the team, every year requires a different version of that player. And for us, we've got a ton of different players on our team. We got a lot of young players starring and playing pivotal roles and everything. And so you just have to navigate that and find your way as a team for that year. And so we've been able to play disciplined ball. We've been able to play ball and be on the same page and find ways to win. And we're just looking forward to doing that one more time.
Jalen, over here. Jalen, a lot of players said that this year's team is far more connected than last year and even the team that went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. What have you seen in terms of that connection, and why is that so important?
Well, I say to that, I think part of it has to do with the Georgia background, and bring their ways to the league. And so I think that has a big impact on our culture, on defense, how they play, how together they are, and then I think that kind of seeps through the team in many ways.
Hi, Jalen.
How you doing?
I'm glad to see you back in the big game. I talked to Chris Jones earlier, and obviously he's the anchor of that Chiefs defense, and of course you're familiar with Steve Spagnuolo. Saw him a couple of years ago. How much respect do you actually have for that Chiefs defense, knowing full well that Steve Spagnuolo is one of the best defensive coordinators in the league, and Chris Jones and that rest of that defense? Because this is a good group, and I'm sure you probably got to be poised for this challenge.
Yeah, well, it's a great team that's been doing it for a good minute now, you know, and led by him, Coach Spags. He's a great coach, puts his players in great positions to make plays, and everybody plays hard. So you can tell that they got a good thing going. They've been having a good thing going, been able to evolve over the years and still find ways to win and be efficient on defense. So it'll be a great challenge.
Military factor from a couple of years ago will make it a little bit easier for you to prepare for this time around.
No, I think competitively everything changes and evolves as it goes, and so you got to reassess it from where you are in that moment.
Hi, Jalen. Dr. Grossinger, Philly, Sports Doc, great to speak to you.
Same here.
As a guy who's been doing this for 30 years, I just marvel at the way you recover from any injuries. That you tweaked your knee in the Rams game, you wore a brace, and then you just threw it away. And it seems like this year you've been running much better. You're much healthier this year. How do you recover so quickly?
I don't know. I guess some people got it and some people don't. It come with a lot of other things as well. But I think that it's a process that goes into everything. How you eat, how you prepare, the time you put into certain areas of sleep, recovery, and there's so many different things that you can try and get 1% better at to try and help you recover, try and help you improve, and I think some of it is too the wisdom that you learn as you play the game and as you mature throughout your career. You try and manage certain things while you play, and so. Been able to get to this point, this is what you play for. You play for opportunities like this and moments like this, and it'll be good to leave it all out there on the field.
Jalen, Nick talked about the night before the last Super Bowl a couple of years ago where he let a bunch of players talk, and it was a pretty emotional one. What do you recall about that, and just how different is the night before a Super Bowl when you prepare compared to a regular game? Well,
I think it was emotional because Jason Kelsey kind of stole the show with it, and he's always great when he speaks, and I think it's an opportunity for everyone to say where they are, what motivates them in a sense, and how they're feeling going into the game.
Mike Jones, Athletic. Last time you and Patrick made history as the two first black quarterbacks to be in the game together. Not much mention of it now. Does it still carry any significance? And is there anything that the plight of the black quarterback can teach the NFL when it comes to coaches and GMs whose numbers are still kind of sparse?
Yeah, well, it's not mentioned as much now, and it's history again. It's funny to see that it's the two of us again doing it, but nonetheless, just embracing the opportunity, embracing that stage, and knowing that torch you carry for all those. I literally just got a text from someone that is a quarterback, aspiring quarterback in the professionals, talking about just leading the way and paving the way for the young black kings coming up, and that means a lot, because I know everybody's always watching. But from to your second part of your question, just thinking about leadership, thinking about those abilities and being able to lead a group of men, that was something that, many people didn't think that a person like myself was capable of, especially as time has evolved. And I think there are certain barriers that you still try and overcome. But, it's a blessing. It's an opportunity that I don't take for granted. And, you do it for moments like this.
Jalen, you've been with the Eagles for 5 seasons now. During your time in the city of Philadelphia, what have you come to love about the city of Philly?
I think the passion oozes out, the passion oozes out. And then I play the game that I love here. I didn't know where the journey would lead me. I didn't know where I end up playing, but definitely couldn't imagine being anywhere else.
Hey, Jalen.
Obviously, in your college and NFL experience, you've had many different play callers. I know you've talked about it quite a bit, but what is the hardest thing about adjusting to a new play caller, and how long did it take before you kind of felt comfortable this year with Kellen and his system?
Yeah, my approach in any change is to approach it and be diligent with it. Be diligent, have open arms, have an open mind, and take in the coaching that I can, take in the new ideas that I can, so I can try and further develop myself. And ultimately, I'm taking all these things in so I can find ways to win and lead the team to victories. But I think knowledge is everything, and all of the coaches that I've been able to learn from have brought great things to me. And so, however things go, my mentality is going to always be to be a sponge, and take in what I can so I can improve and help the people around me improve as well and win.
Hey, Jalen. In the tunnel right before the game on Sunday, what's one piece of advice? What's going to be the main thing on your mind in the tunnel right before you run out on Sunday?
Just take it a play at a time.
Jalen, obviously lower body strength has played a big role in you being so successful with the tush push. There's a lot of rumors out there. How much are you really kind of squatting, and how much are you deadlifting? What are kind of your numbers these days for those?
Yeah, some things are kind of just there. Some things are just there. So I don't put myself in those positions as much as I used to. But it's obviously still there.
Hey, Jalen, I know you're not very stats driven, but personal legacy, is that something that drives you?
Winning is what drives me.
Nothing more than that?
No.
Jalen back here. This is your second Super Bowl, and you have a lot of other teammates that this is their first Super Bowl. Do you have any sort of special, message to them, or anything in the locker room that you tell them to kind of help ease those nerves, if there are any?
Yeah, I just encourage everyone to stick to the routine, stick to the script of what they've been doing to get to this point. You want to try and treat it just as you've treated every other game, every other moment, and it's kind of the approach. There's a lot of wind around you. There's a lot of external things that really don't matter in the sense of what we come here to accomplish. So just keep the main thing the main thing.
Hi, Jalen. Playing for Alabama and Oklahoma with right here. Playing for Alabama and Oklahoma with Coach Saban and Riley, what has led to your success to being at your second Super Bowl?
Well, in relation to those guys, man, coming in and being able to learn, just learn. I went to Alabama because it was something about the process that just got me. And how Coach Saban was. And over time, I began to realize I was more like him than many people realized. And it was just a great experience of development, maturity, and adversity, and all of those different things. And I think going to Oklahoma, it was opening this new door of seeing football a different way, and being with Coach Riley and seeing coaching and success look a totally different way, but yet still find yourself in great territory. And so very fortunate for those experiences of my career. It's gave me a ton of value, and it's helped me get where I am today for sure in all aspects.
We have time for two more, so we'll start in the back here. Hey, Jalen, have you went back and watched the tape of the last Super Bowl? And if so, what would you like to change going into this one?
I like to win the game.
Hi, Jalen. You were talking about preparation. How has the preparation changed for the Super Bowl different from the other one you haven't?
Yeah. Well, you want to treat them all the same. You want to treat them all the same. Not just, every game is a big game. So we got another opportunity to do it, and we work very hard for this moment and to be the last man standing. And so we just want to put our best foot forward. We got another opportunity to get better at practice today and just take advantage of it and keep stacking. Thanks, Joe. Thank you.